What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and finally, an agreement has been reached in the Senate for more pandemic funding. And now Congress is likely going to be turning their attention towards, we're hearing, a revised Build Back Better bill, talking about gas stimulus checks and dealing with this oil crisis on our hands, and more phases of stimulus. And this is your stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and breaking news update. Now, take a look at some of the headlines coming out today, you guys. Senators reached $10 billion pandemic funding deal for therapeutics, vaccines, and testings, as we're hearing finally an agreement in the Senate has been reached. Joe Manchin's brand is not helping Democrats, but there's a Republican who might. Take a look there. You guys can see Mitt Romney from the Republican side helping out getting legislation through. Senate negotiators strike a deal for $10 billion in pandemic funding. And this comes after we'd heard the president. Take a look, you guys. President Joe Biden pressures Congress for emergency pandemic funds. Biden received his second booster as he pleaded with Congress for more funding. This was just last week. Biden gets his second booster shot and urged Congress to spend more on the pandemic, saying, "We can't wait. We need this now." As we're hearing, we could be getting a new surge of the pandemic coming in the weeks ahead for the month of April. And he's saying we are not ready. Now, also, we had heard from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer that they were working behind closed doors to get something done. And then now, as I mentioned, today we're hearing it's official. And we were hearing just a few days ago that senators had reached a tentative deal. And there you can see Mitt Romney and Joe Manchin talking, lawmakers closing in on a deal that has what the White House requested, but there is a deal nonetheless. So you guys, I'm going to give you the update on what is included in this new funding and where do we go from here. So let's go ahead and dive right in. But before we do, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. Don't forget to smash the like button if you appreciate the updates. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments. Share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. If this is your first time here and you'd like to stay up to date, totally free to do so. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you're notified right away. I'll let you know everything that's going on. And if you got any specific questions for me, I'm easy to get a hold of directly. All you got to do is hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3. And consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance. More content coming this week. If you're interested in learning about growing wealth, personal finance, maybe flipping houses, real estate investing, crypto, stocks, all that good stuff, more on the way. But with that being said, you guys, let's dive into these articles and let you know about the agreement that has finally been reached in the Senate. All right, guys, so link in the description below to this article that came out yesterday. I always cite my sources so you can read it for yourself. I share it with you on the screen, read right from the articles so you know it is the latest update. So, Senate negotiators strike a deal for $10 billion in pandemic funding. And it says, after weeks of pleas from the White House for Congress to approve more money toward pandemic programs that were at risk of being cut off, senators have put forward a new bill for $10 billion. So finally, they have come to an agreement on this. And as I mentioned, we heard from the White House, President Joe Biden pleading with them to get this done. We heard senators saying behind closed doors negotiations were taking place, and now finally a deal has been reached. Now the package, which sets aside money to support the nation's testing infrastructure and the development of new variant-specific vaccines, falls far short of the initial $22.5 billion that was requested by the White House. We had heard they wanted over $20 billion in new funding, but the agreement was reached on 10. And they were saying that if they didn't get this done, that it would very likely run out around June, July. So this is going to help us continue on through the year just in case a new wave does hit the United States. Now, Senator Mitt Romney, who has been leading negotiations on the bill for Republicans, announced that the new funding would be paid for entirely by offsets. So that was one of the issues that Joe Manchin and a lot of conservatives had. They said, we don't want to add to the debt and worsen the inflation issue that we have, but they're saying it's fully paid for, meeting Republicans' demands to only use already approved federal funds instead of spending any more money. So simply reallocating unused funds from previous stimulus packages, of which we've heard there was over $800 billion left over. And that is enough for two extra $1,400 stimulus checks, a fourth and a fifth. So taking some of that money, using it for pandemic spending. Now, but doing so required cutbacks on support for certain programs and repurposing funds that were set aside for other things. The new bill takes $500 million back from a fund to support colleges and universities during the pandemic, for example, and nearly $1 billion from a fund of tribal governments. And it does not include funding for the U.S. Global Vaccination Program, which was supporting vaccine distributions and administration in countries around the world. So pulling back on other provisions to help provide this. Now, Romney said that he was willing to explore a fiscally responsible solution to support global efforts in the weeks ahead. Reacting to the latest deal, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that the president was grateful for the progress, but would continue to push for more money. And that is what we've heard. That's what I've been reporting to you guys, is that more phases are being pushed for. This is not the end of it. We're hearing there's going to be a revised Build Back Better, which is the 2021 reconciliation bill. We're hearing they still have a 2022 reconciliation bill at their disposal. And members of Congress are now calling for gas stimulus checks, new phases for businesses. They were calling for additional phases to help with vaccines. Looks like they got it. So this is nowhere by any means done. Congress is pushing for more legislation. And in a midterm election year, it's very likely more is going to be pushed for to come on the way if Democrats want to stay in power in Congress. Now, reading on, it says, this is clearly a huge focus for the president because of the dire need that we have at this moment to get this funding through, and the fact that we are already at a point where we have had to delay a range of programs and purchases that we feel are imperative, Psaki said at a White House press briefing. Samantha Power, Biden's USAID chief, urged Congress to do just that Monday evening, pointing to more than 30 countries that are off track to hit their vaccination goals this year. Power said that without funding, the U.S. will have to turn its back on other countries that need urgent help to boost their vaccination rates. So not only getting funding to help ourselves, but also help the world, as we're hearing that if we don't get this under wraps globally, that new mutations, new variants are going to come and they're going to spread around. So this is a global effort to get this done. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that he was disappointed that global pandemic aid did not make it into the package, but that he intends to bring up the funding again later this year as a part of a larger global aid package. So you guys, more is on the way. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said a global aid package is coming. So new faces are for sure on the way. We're hearing it from congressional leaders, and we'll be seeing what's included. As I mentioned, we've had calls for gas stimulus checks. We still have the child tax credit kind of up in the air. We're going to have the revised Build Back Better bill, and we'll see what Congress decides, because we're hearing that more is on the way. So there you have it, you guys. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. As more information rolls out, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. And if you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Just takes a second, helps out the channel a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you'd like to stay up to date, totally free to do so. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3, and consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. With that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.